Now we know that the crappy all-female Avengers movie based off a comic book that flopped is happening here. It just seems that Hollywood, especially Disney, just doesn't seem to learn from the previous mistakes that wokeness fails. Okay, I know Disney doesn't realize that yet because Captain Marvel was a big success, but all the movies, they did drag Star Wars to the ground, and it took them into the rise of Skywalker, being a financial disappointment for Disney. Basically, it wasn't a failure because it didn't lose money. It still made way less money than the last movie, Last Jedi. But this is probably the worst selling Avengers movie of all time. It appears to try to make $1 billion because you know what? All the noise can say, "Oh, it's still the Avengers. It's still the Avengers." Or if it is, it will be like Solo have a big opening in his first weekend and it'll completely drop off, like Solo or Star Wars story. So we have to wait for Marvel Studios will make an all-female Avengers movie in the future. For the first several years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, comic docs would knock your franchise by Twitter for its lack of female superheroes. And despite Black Widow's prominence, the first female solo film did not arrive until 2019. Several female superheroes were introduced in Infinity Saga though, but they all came together in a memorable endgame scene. A solo team up with nearly every female MCU movie made only one audience happy. Twitter. Because everybody's like, really? Did we really need this scene in the movie that made the movie even worse? Okay? Discussions about all-female team-up is happening in the future. Stars like Scarlett Johansson and Brie Larson have been pushing for such an event. And especially the 5 people on Twitter, we all know they want that event to especially happen because, of course, it will make them happy. Marvel Studios has yet to officially announce the all-female Avengers movie, but this might confirm that Marvel has not announced Avengers 5 yet, but has stopped fans from wondering if it will happen. With much interest, no, not fans, Twitter. Twitter is wondering. Nobody is gonna watch the female Avengers movie because we all know if it's read by Brie Larson, we all know it's going to be garbage. We all know it's going to be a pile of garbage, okay, a pile of trash. And Marvel Studios yet with so much interest by Twitter. Because, of course, that's all Hollywood ever listens to now. One of the most likely stars is confident the movie will be made. Russell Way has made a debut as Sully in Black Panther, and was featured in Endgame's all-female scene. In a new interview with Yahoo, White was asked about the possibility of Marvel making the movie in the future. Well, it seemed that the path that White and his fellow Avengers stars might be pushing for the team-up, the young star doesn't feel like they have to fight for it anymore. Because they have the interest in Marvel Studios, and especially Disney, which has been pushing wokeness for the past years, changing rights for Twitter. Dark Phoenix was one example, even though that wasn't really made by Disney, it was made by Fox. It was delayed from February. All the remakes of woke will have semi-woke themes in them. All of the, Captain Marvel exists. Onward was woke garbage. Mulan, forgot about Mulan. Mulan was definitely signs that Disney is trying to force a feminist agenda in the movies, the Mulan remake, as well. And considering that Disney's obsessing with feminist movies, wouldn't be surprised there will be an all-female Avengers movie. Because that's what Disney wants. They want to make all these woke garbage that flops, and they're like, why did anyone watch the movies? But Twitter wants this. And then they realize that Twitter is not the most important audience on the face of the planet. Based on Wright's response, Avengers Endgame producer and MVP Victoria Alonso is also focused on making the movie happen. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has also been a focal advocate giving the female heroes bigger role, more solo films and events via team-up. When Wright pressed Feige that he want the team-up with Zoe, he named Valkyrie, Captain Marvel, Okoye, and Nakia as some of the heroes that will be included. Fans should have much confidence that Ray and Marvel Studios will make it happen at some point. I can't wait to how much cringe is in this movie. Wouldn't be surprised. It sounds like the movie is happening in a merely matter of Marvel figuring out when it can and should decide if it's worth making. Most are excited about the team up, but no one was really excited by that scene. The only people who were excited by that team up, by that scene in the Endgame, was Twitter. Okay? And that for me felt like it was a fan service. The voice season 2 parody that Cedar did better, but because one of the Reds felt the same way, now it'll be fascinating to see how the MCU's biggest female heroes will possibly assemble in the future. And yep, there we go. So that means we're gonna get the garbage A-Force movie that will probably flop at the box office and no one's gonna watch it. But again, Twitter's going to say, you have to see this movie or else you're sexist. And again, it won't do as well as Endgame. It won't. Even if they put the Avengers title in it, it will probably be the worst selling Avengers movie in history. Okay? And that's basically it. Goodbye.